everybody. I just wanted to come on here and let you know that I am finally finished the swamp piece. I would say it took approximately, I guess, altogether more than 2 days. You know, if I sat there the whole time and did it, more than 2 days. It took me on and off because I have so many other things going on. I'm sure you do too, every the life thing that happens when you try to get something done. You know what I'm talking about. I put a few video clips together so that you could see the process that I kind of my thought process as I painted it. I even have a few clips where I don't think I have any makeup on. I don't know if I even brushed my hair that day, but you know what? I just wanted to go paint, and so I really didn't care. But I just wanted to get this video out there for you guys to see. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy. So we're starting off with a completely white space. This is not a canvas. This is a 3/4 inch birch plywood, piece of birch plywood. It was cut to fit in a frame that I already have that I want to recycle. I do keep a lot of frames and I'll repaint them in different ways just to recycle what's out there and not going. The frames are expensive, so if you have something that can be redone and it look good, then I'd rather do that. So what I'm doing here, I'm basically just just put a mark on the white space. The first thing you want to do is put a mark on there, even if it has nothing to do with your topic. But right here, I'm mapping out my areas, the bird's body, because it's going to be an aigrette, and we'll get into that later. The light areas, the dark areas, and so on. So here is just a wash with acrylic paint. More like I used it here more like a gouache. Very, very loose, watered down acrylic paint. I didn't want to get rid of my drawing underneath. Some of this drawing will not even apply to the finished product. However, it gives you, it gives me an idea of where everything kind of is on the space, because I did a lot of work setting up the different objects and lights and darks in the image for compositional purposes. So I really try to pay attention to composition and where the eye is going to go in the painting when anyone looks at it. So here's just an overview of just a closer up look at what I did. I love drips. I don't think any of them came through to the final product, but just showing you how it started out. Notice my darks are really, really dark and the light areas are really, really light. For me, yellow is a big help when I want to create actual light. I filled in just the objects in the composition to a point where I can, and it's all acrylic. At this point, it's all acrylic. So skipping along, I created this really dark green color that my objective was to kind of make it nondescript and not really bother any other part of the composition. And fast forwarding a little bit, and no, I don't paint that fast, you'll see me filling it in, but also throwing some of this same color into other areas of the composition. You want the whole thing to be cohesive in the end, and then it looks like I'm kind of like painting over what I already did, but I'm not. Brush strokes do matter, and I am basically darkening and pulling paint away to leave some of those highlighted areas by literally wiping the paint away. So backing up just to look at some of the details that are starting to go in. This was done, the moss was done using a Posca marker, PASCA. You'll find the link in the description. These are special paint markers. No other paint markers come close to the quality that you can get with them. So I just wanted to highlight that as well. I used it eventually in the bird's nest as well, and then for some details in other places like on the water lilies. So I have 3 key areas, but I also have a lot of what we call leading lines within the colors, the color changes, and the images in the picture, just like palmetto leaves and just directions of where the light's going. I've got moss coming down from the tree, and I mean, I'm hoping that it comes out to look like a lush swamp with a beautiful crane in the middle. We'll see. So right here, I'm putting in the details of the bird's nest. Notice I'm not holding this marker close to the tip. I'm kind of letting the marker do the work, and I'm so very lightly touching the surface of the painting. Very lightly. It's leaving some extremely faint marks, and that's what I want. So this is just showing after the nest is finished with the markers, but then I actually layered other paint on top, and then I used the wipe away technique with a paint eraser. These come in handy for so many things, and notice I just draw the paint out to make these naturally delicate lines coming from the nest area. You can see how many layers there are in there. And I like the way it came out. This is also after adding swamp grass. I did add the swamp grass. I used many different greens and yellows. I wish I'd have caught it on camera, but I didn't. And also, I often will pull out my phone while waiting in line somewheres or when I'm not doing anything, and just kind of analyze the picture and circle the areas that need to be worked on. So here's where I'm at with the swamp painting. I'm going to start at the top and kind of talk you through this. First of all, the blurred out patches of light coming through the swamp are created mostly acrylic, but then smoothed out with oil. I have a really bright reddish pink orangey color behind the yellow, and then I'm actually going to probably keep adding white until I feel like it's at its brightest, like a yellowy white, never like just a pure white. That to me gives you the brightest light color. It is blurred out, so I needed it to blend with the background and not really be the focal point of the painting, so that's kind of why it looks like this. And then
over here in this area, cypress trees are some of my favorite trees, and if you live in South Louisiana, you know that the two trees that really survive hurricanes here really well are cypress trees and oak trees. And our cypress trees in the springtime are just absolutely, they glow green almost. They're just super green, and so I'm trying to capture as much of that green, all the different color greens as possible, because obviously there's some light play on the leaves of them. And I wanted to capture the moss
in as much detail as possible, so I literally used a Posca marker to start all of the moss because I wanted to show it the way we see it
here. I mean, this is what it looks like. It's got these tiny little curly Q, just, oh gosh, ropes of moss. And then I didn't want it to be too amateurish, so I used acrylic to throw in some of the textures in here to kind of blend it out a little bit. Not really blend it, but to throw in some different textures on top to make it look a little more realistic. But I like the way it came out. It captures all the light coming from that this patch right here.
So zooming out a bit, I used a palette knife on a lot of the bark here. It started out just regular acrylic brushwork. There's a lot of texture in here as well. You might not be able to see it on camera, but I wanted a lot of texture there with those, just with the leaves, nothing else, because I wanted to add as many differences as possible, which is what I was taught was the way to go. So let's get a little closer look at the bark on the cypress tree up here. I love just this mysterious area under the leaves of the cypress tree, and then you've got all these little tiny vines in here and branches just to add more dimension to it. Then I finished it off mostly with a palette knife, just to give it that rugged look, and then threw a few little like viney areas in there. This is a palmetto, and if you look at a palmetto really closely, you'll see that a lot of times they fray, and so I included a few little areas where it actually looks like it frayed a bit, because I wanted it as realistic as possible. I will probably throw in a little more light on the tips in here before I'm finished. Moving on, this area behind the egret, because I mean, I'm still not absolutely positive, but I think I'm going to just go with a great egret because it looks more like that than any other bird. This area in the background, I did not want that to be the focal point either, and so it's just a background. It's light hitting areas of mango bushes, trees, whatever your imagination can come up with, and that's all that is. Water lilies, I'm not finished with yet. I think they're a little too bright, and I don't want to pull too much attention to them, but I did put them here for composition's sake. You want your viewer's eye to go, to stay within the painting, but also to have a place to go to, and then also guide the eye back up to the focal point as well. Notice she's facing this way. It's called Swamp Queen. So she's facing this way because that's just better composition than having her face this way or face this way from there. I got schooled by an instructor one time because I put my bird facing this way, but so I definitely made an extra effort to put the bird's head here. Now the beak pulls you here, the body pulls you here, and so this is your next landing place right here, okay? and then here, and then the legs draw you right on back up here. And then it's just, and the palmettos are what we call leading lines, which are other lines in the painting that point to the focal point, which is the bird and basically the top part of the bird. So you have the palmettos shooting this way, you have the grass shooting this way, the legs shooting this way, the body of the bird. We have these branches shooting toward the bird as well, and the moss drips down as well to try to draw your eye all in this area. So here you see me erasing the claw, the bird's foot, and all I did was put a little oil on there. It was dry, which I'm glad it's drying so quickly. But then I used that paint eraser to kind of wear it off. This is medium yellow with phthalo blue mixed in it. I'm just gonna kind of hide what was there. And I'm coming back with some detail after anyway. I love the way that came up. So what I did was I threw in, this is actually cerulean blue, a gorgeous blue. I absolutely love this blue. And so I just mixed this with a little cadmium yellow and to make this really awesome bright green, and just kind of throwing it in there because you don't want to just put it in the one place, you know. I like to just throw it in different places, you know, just kind of like make these little interesting marks with different colors. Look at that. I mean, I don't know if you can see it that well. Try to get this camera a little closer. Now, I've put a few pieces here. So what I need to do is to pull it in here. So I'm gonna throw some in here, and it might not be really noticeable. That's okay. The eye is gonna pick it up. It's gonna actually just look cohesive. So what you don't want to do is to go in and just paint it white. Okay, white is never white. Okay, white is many colors, and what I did was there's a lot of orangey pinks right here, and so I went with a blue color, a bluish tealy blue color, and all kind of different blues really. And then I threw in a few pinks and a little yellow here and there just to kind of highlight as much as possible. And some purple, you know, kind of mixed those together and made purple, very similar purple to this, just to make it cohesive. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to redefine the darks in the eye area. So I'm just reestablishing this area. And there's some makeup on, some eyelash area, I guess. And you know, it doesn't have to look exactly like it does in real life. This is your world. This is my world. And so if I want more black there to make a contrast, I can do that. And so can you. I want to add just some detail in here. I'm just kind of brushing it through. There's no specific, there is the mouth line here that you definitely need to establish. The egret does have a dark, when they're adults, they have a darker beak. I'm not sure if I'm going to throw more orange in there or not. I probably won't, because it makes more of a contrast with it being black. I'm always careful to flatten out the brush before I head to the canvas. Well, this is actually a piece of wood. All right, so sometimes you have to try different things, and I did not like that brush, and so I'm switching to what is this called? A liner. It shows you how much I pay attention to the names of brushes. Definitely giving me a finer line than the angled flat brush, which is surprising to me, but hey, you learn something every time you do a new painting. I learned something from each painting. The more you reload the brush, the finer your marks are going to be. You wouldn't think that, but the paint flows a little better. And so I find I can get a finer mark with freshly wetter, loaded paintbrush. When it runs out, I start getting that where you see the little lines in the brush strokes, and I hate it. I hate that. And I think it's time to highlight this area. I do want to put some highlights in this area as well, keeping in mind that this is the side of the bird that is away from the sun. So honestly, it wouldn't have this area so light right in here. Now the white that I am using is not a normal, not a regular titanium or zinc white. It's called Permalba, and if you can see it, I love this white. It is actually really heavy. So the reason I use this one, it's a whiter white. I want to say I was told that yes, it has titanium dioxide and zinc oxide in it. So it's a combination of the two white. It's really, really thick, and it's really, really heavy. Okay, I'm going to switch to my favorite, absolutely favorite kind of brush. It is a flat round. Let's see if that's what it's really called. It's called a filbert. My art teachers are gonna hate this, but I call it a flat. See, it's flat. It's a flat round. My favorite kind of paintbrush. I use these. I can do an entire painting in this brush because maybe I'm used to using it and I know what to expect, which is very valuable. I'm gonna try again to get those tiny little, see, I can get that better with the bigger brush, just because when I turn it to its flat side, it's just perfect. Tiny little fluff feathers. So what I'm going to do is to pull in some of this bright pink color. It is called fluorescent pink, another master's touch color, and it's super bright. So I just want to kind of tweak some of this right here and blow it up a bit. See how that works? Adding a tiny bit of yellow. The same yellow right here. you.